I recall getting up today at around 11 in the morning, and the early afternoon hours were spent with Dad coming over so that we could essentially move parts of the living room couch to make space for our setup, in which we would essentially show essentially build a preview of what essentially my spot/store at the Emerging Artist Expo would look like at the Cornhill Arts Festival on the 9th and 10th of this month. We moved those two shelving units that are essentially made of, I think, stainless steel. My first impressions was gonna be aluminum, but that seems like a goofy thing to make a shelving unit out of. Stainless steel seems more likely. We put those two shelving units behind the table, the foldable table. Foldable in that we can fold out. It's a sort of table that stands up on its own permanently, but the legs have wheels. And there's these two flaps that you can fold out on either side of the middle part, and it extends the table. And since the less thick styrofoam pieces could fall through the gaps between the little steel beams of those shelving units, what ended up happening is that pretty much all of the different styrofoam drawings, just a portion of the ones that'll ultimately be displayed for the Emerging Artist Expo. Ended up being put in these little plastic bins that Mom had got from Amazon at least a week ago. The thing is, I think we ended up filling all of those bins, so later on today, and Mom got, later on, after Dad had left, Mom got more plastic bins from Amazon. I think they were also clear, but they were by a different company. Before Dad came, and we spent the noon hour essentially setting up the Tyler Foams page through my Facebook account, of which for its profile picture I used my image of the self-portrait of me. And for the cover photo, I used a photo of the front of the Tyler Foam sign. Then I think Dad came around 1 p.m. and we spent the next hour and a half setting up our little preview of how my spot at the Emerging Artists Expo is going to be laid out. And by that point, I had brought down the bin that contained at this point the majority of the styrofoam drawings from my room that I'm going to be bringing to the Emerging Artist Expo. Mom propped up on the left side the self-portrait styrofoam drawing on a small little wooden easel, then using another of those easels, which she also got from Amazon. On the right side, she propped up my sign. At one point, she tore off the plastic wrapping around a shadow box that she got from Michael's a while back. And in it, she ended up putting in a styrofoam drawing I did of the Guinness toucan. It was one of the few styrofoam drawings. One of the few styrofoam drawings of this shape that instead of being portrait style in its presentation was landscape style, which is more akin to this. Thus, in effect, making it wide enough that it wouldn't bounce around the shadow box. I believe she initially tried to put one of the leprechaun styrofoam drawings I did into the shadow box. I think, if I recall correctly, it was the one that was primarily lime green. But it ended up shifting around a lot more in the shadow box than the later Guinness toucan one, because, again, that leprechaun styrofoam drawing was meant to be presented portrait style, meaning the height is greater than the width, rather than landscape style, where the width is greater than the height. Those two styrofoam pieces are the exact same size. It's just that with how the drawing is, it's meant to be presented two different ways. This is the self-portrait drawing, and it would look pretty goofy if it was presented landscape style. But I guess it is possible. I mean, I can lie down on my side, but I'm not going to be doing that at the Emerging Artist Expo. Most likely what I'll be doing is sitting on a chair. What comes to mind is that black ottoman we have in the basement. That's what came to mind first while we were setting up. I hope Dad moved the shelving units so they wouldn't scrape on the hardwood floor of the living room. We ultimately decided against getting a Wix website, since that would end up costing a sum of money each month. And that's why we instead made the Tyler Foams Facebook page. Although I've yet to set up a shop for it, since I figure I should probably wait until after the Emerging Artist Expo. That way I'll know which styrofoam drawings will be available for sale, and plus, what if someone buys a styrofoam drawing while it's being presented at the Emerging Artist Expo? Later in the evening to some at least is probably defined as starting around 5 p.m., even though these days the sun will still be up to some extent until around 9:30 p.m. In the evening, I sent Mom some of my styrofoam drawings, essentially the ones that I hand-selected from my gallery folder of nearly every styrofoam drawing, and hand-selected to go into a gallery folder called Styrofoam Portfolio, which is meant to showcase my very best styrofoam drawings. And that's how this photo album was made. Her laptop is connected to our printer, mine isn't, so instead of going through the process of hooking my laptop up to the printer, I instead attached the images of my styrofoam drawings from the portfolio, selecting the drawings in the styrofoam portfolio gallery in order to keep track of which ones I had already sent. To Mom, trying my best, making an effort to send them 5 at a time through email attachments. Emails with no subject and no text in their body. So that Mom could then download the images and then print them through HP Smart Print or that app, something like that. For some reason, even when she set them up to the images to shrink to fit, for some reason the printer would cut off a bit of the top and bottom of each of the images. And that's something I noticed, but the printer miscolored them a little. Regardless, it's still good enough that people walking by my spot at the Emerging Artist Expo can look through and get an idea of the kind of drawings I do. The kind of drawings I like to do, essentially. Show the different pieces of styrofoam that I can work with. And when we created the Telefoams page, and we went through the process of creating the page so that we launched it just right. Both Mom and I made sure that everything was just right. She initially wanted me to pick arts and crafts for the about on that page, since I do work with arts and crafts stuff, but that wouldn't be right because this isn't a page selling art supplies. This isn't a online store like Michael's. It's more visual arts. Since I do draw on styrofoam using Sharpie markers, though for the page's description I just described it as polystyrene with markers, since both styrofoam and Sharpie are trademarks. At one point, I think this was around somewhere between 7 and 8 p.m., maybe around 7:40 p.m. I would estimate, but I went to the corner store, and with 2 $5 bills Mom provided me, I got a gallon of whole milk, of which this glass is probably from. After she had finished the photo album, the gallon of whole milk, which I got because we were running low on whole milk and I wanted a glass of whole milk with essentially, if I recall correctly, it was salmon meal with lobster topped on it and a baked potato. And with some sour cream that I put on myself. I noticed these 2 pieces of styrofoam on the fringes of the construction site that had built the patio homes that are now in between our home and the corner store. And then picked those 2 pieces up on the way back from the corner store. And that gallon of milk came to $5.99. Got back for $1 bills and a penny in change. These 2 pieces ended up being a little dirty, but you can't really complain about that when 2 pieces are still in relatively good condition and end up being free. I think these 2 pieces can be cleaned up tomorrow. Have any dirt on them brushed off. This piece kind of looks like a boomerang, so I do have plans of drawing this piece as a boomerang. As for this one, I may do a mini person for this piece. And lunch, after Mom, Dad, and I had set up the preview for how the shop will look at the Emerging Artists Expo. For lunch around 2:30 p.m. or so, we essentially had some of the snacks we got for our 4th of July party that Mom hosted at her place for her friends. As well as some of a pizza. I think it's one of those non-pizzas that she got from Wegmans. Though she ended up overdoing it a bit in the oven because she ended up being distracted while we were working on setting up the shop layout for the Emerging Artists Expo as part of our preparations. Thing is, I should probably take that down. Not entirely, just put the styrofoam drawings back in the bins. Since they don't need to be out in the open right now and they're safer in the bins. Mom expressed concerns since they could be exposed to potentially direct sunlight in the morning, which could fade them. Admittedly, that would probably take months to years, but still, it's probably best to make an effort to put those styrofoam drawings back in the bins where they'll be transported to the Cornhill Arts Festival. Oh, and there also ended up being these circular, hollowed out bits of black plastic that could be used as holders for the 500 business cards that we designed and ordered off of the online Staples website after we had finished setting up the layout, the preview layout. And by that point, yeah, this was after lunch. I believe Mom either found that from a cardboard box full of some stuff, either in her room or more likely in the basement. Something made her decide to look around for some stuff like that, and it turned out to be pretty beneficial. Those black pieces of plastic made better holders than using two essentially triangle-shaped or elbow-shaped pieces of stiff cardboard as a holder. At some point today, I also realized that this evolvable building out of all of the ones in my city has the most valuable, to me, feeding effect. And I found that out through completing an earlier task set